Don in London, hello. May 29th, my video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour, or both in my case. But before I get on to that, I just want to read from this book, the Desiderata of Happiness. The Desiderata. Go placidly amid the noise and the haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even to the dull and ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexatious to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater or lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection, neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here, and whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be, and whatever your labours and aspirations, in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. With all its sham, drudgery and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful, strive to be happy. And I've been including this on my videos at the beginning for the last couple of days, because really, the desiderata is about tolerance, love, and wisdom, learning how to be ourselves in any particular moment, and working out how we feel about it, why, and what we can do. So, in a way, the poem itself is all about being assertive about what is good for us, and how to let go of those things which is less good for us. And as a recovering alcoholic, and also with addictive behaviour, to be with the right people, in the right place with the right things. Desiderata strikes home greatly, especially in May, which is all about sharing, for me, about step 5 in the 12-step programme of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. All about the sharing the exact nature of our wrongs with another human being and with God, as you understand God to be. Whatever you conceive him to be, as it says in the poem. So it's not about conformity in recovery, it's about finding our unique, authentic way of life, which works for us as individuals. Given the game way, really, this is all about fellowship and recovery. So my substance, alcohol, my recovery has been helped enormously by family, friends, society, community, medical professionals. Everyone seemed to want me to be sober, and yet for many years I could not even conceive of life without a drink of spirits, alcohol, you name it. But these days, and for quite some time now, one day at a time, sober feels right to me. And why is that? Well, drink took me to near death more than once, and I could regale you with stories of happy times and sad times, how to live joyfully with a drink in hand, and how to almost die in ignorance with a drink in hand. But these days I realise there is no point in tormenting myself more by saying sometimes we're good and sometimes we're bad. Life was what it was, and life today is what it is. So here I share about AA. I share the AA preamble, which is on this little card. What you see is what you get when you go to a fellowship meeting, and every day AA changes because all the people in it are changing day by day as life unfolds. So it's not about conformity, it's not about following another person's idea of what you should do. It's an encouragement to find out what is right for you, always what is right for you. And although we may all have ideas about what is good for you, in the end only an individual can determine what is good for them. So most of us, if we stick around long enough in the fellowship, find that it works, and that we find a life beyond our wildest dreams. Because believe you me, at the end of my drinking, the dreams were wild, and they were all about, I don't want to be here anymore, I'd rather expire than live this life. But if we're lucky, we get that moment of clarity which says, I cannot imagine continuing down this path, and I need help. And the moment of clarity is about needing help to find a way back to being sober. And in all my adult life I would never have thought that I could have gone for some years without a drink inside me. It was an inconceivable part of living. So how did AA help me on this rocky road of survival that we all face day to day? Well, the AA preamble goes like this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And that's what it's all about. So the fellowship meetings are for everyone who has a desire to stop drinking on a daily basis. And it is a one-day program, lived in the moment of now. So all the old philosophies, if you like, of how to live are encompassed in fellowship, because every walk of life, people from every walk of life are in fellowship. So we get to hear the wisdom of the years from those who have been sober. We hear the wisdom of what it's like to be a newcomer coming into sobriety, and sort of middle term people like me who've been around a while and still enjoy learning about life on a daily basis. And I guess that's where the most important part is, how to keep on learning. And it's been a good weekend in many respects. I've been doing some things for myself, not unusually, but it's good to be able to just, I've been painting my flat, or my apartment as some people might call it. I don't know that it would actually rank as an apartment. I don't know how that works in terms of status, but it's a good place to live. It keeps the rain off me, and it's nice to paint it from time to time, and to be able to paint it, but I'm just doing it very gradually in small parts, rather than making it into a big project which would overwhelm me and make me feel like running away from it, I guess. So gently and easy does it in recovery around everything. It's not a rush to the finishing line anymore. It's about what am I doing on the way and through the day, which is helping me to live life and enjoy it and be happy when life can be happy. And I had a good chat with someone who came to see me last night, and it was just good to be in their company and be able to sit, talk about things, and just be gentle and enjoy the experience of another human being in close contact. And I've been busy also writing to people about life in general and what it was like to go through those difficult times in life where my world fell apart, a nervous breakdown, trying to pretend to be what I was before, and never ever realising at the time that it was impossible to go back to what I was before. It had gone, that part of life had left me, and as it says in Desiderata, when we get older we have to let go of the old notions that we had in our youth, not because we don't cherish those memories, but we can't keep on repeating what we did before. And we get older, sometimes we get wiser, and sometimes we just can't do what we used to do. And that's for me is drinking, but most of other things I can do. What helps me when I can't get to a meeting, or I haven't been to a meeting of AA for a while, and as I say, what I see is what I get on a daily basis. I make use of literature and friends, communities around the world via social networks as much as anything. So the good news is there is expression out there all about recovery in so many different places. The choice is immense. Daily Reflections, this book, is one of the ones I utilise on a daily basis here, simply because it's a message of hope, and sometimes it strikes home really hard, and sometimes I think, yes, that's just me today, that I can do. So for May 29th it says this: true tolerance, accepting life on life's terms, I guess. The only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. That's the only requirement, a desire to stop. I first heard the short form of the third tradition in the preamble. Yes, that's where it is. When I came to AA, I could not accept myself, my alcoholism, or a higher power. And that's me too. I could not accept myself. I was disgusted with me, shameful and guilty, and I just didn't want to be around anymore. And I guess I couldn't accept my alcoholism either. Why? Because who wants to be an alcoholic? Well, I don't mind actually now. Or a higher power, something greater than me, something or someone who knew more than I did about my situation. And I didn't really know much about my situation, but I thought I knew all the answers, and I'd run out then, and life didn't seem possible. If there'd been any physical, mental, moral or religious requirements for membership, I would be dead today. Bill W., or Bill Wilson, one of the co-founders, said in his tape on the traditions that the third tradition is a charter for individual freedom. The most impressive thing to me was the feeling of acceptance from members who were practicing the third tradition by tolerating and accepting me. I feel acceptance is love, and love is God's will for us, no matter what we conceive God to be. And that's about tolerance and love. And you know, Bill Wilson, when he said it was the greatest individual freedom, the freedom to find out who I can be, who I am today, who I am becoming. Not easy when sometimes we feel like we need to conform, fit a pattern, keep competing to be the best recovering alcoholic in the world. And of course there is no such thing as the best recovering alcoholic other than the one you're living with, yourself. And if we stay sober and can keep on facing life as it is, and with support and help through others, then we get tolerant and we start to understand why it is there are no rules or laws in the fellowship. One rule, one law will exclude a person rather than include a person, which is why the only requirement for being in fellowship is a desire to stop drinking. Apart from that, you can do what you like, and that's what it's all about. Or do the things you don't like because you have to do them in order to survive, like eat, work, earn a crust, whatever we have to do. But do it with open, honest and willing attitudes and behaviour, and live to truth of what is, rather than what we might want it to be. In As Bill Sees It, just mentioned there, a different swinging door on page 62, which is also about tolerance. When a drunk shows up among us and says that he doesn't like the AA principles, people or service management, when he declares that he can do better elsewhere, we are not worried. We simply say, maybe your case really is different. Why don't you try something else? And what I say, also, I would add to that is, if you find something out there which is better and suits you much more than the fellowship, absolutely go for it, and hopefully it will work. And sober life, which is the ability to cope with reality, if that's what's happening, let us know. And that's not saying in any conceit or ego about AA, because AA won't suit everybody, as rehab did not suit me, as those who thought they knew better than me, as counsellors, and tried to put me down. Well, that was a few years ago. And when I look back now, sometimes I realise too much knowledge does not help in recovery when it comes to the abilities of other people to shape attitudes and behaviour. That was entirely the wrong thing to do. We need to grow our own attitudes and behaviour. Anyway, it goes on to say, if an AA member says he doesn't like his own group, we are not disturbed. We simply say, why don't you try another one, or start one of your own? And I'm lucky because I've got 700 meetings around here a week, so I don't need to start another one, that's for sure. And I did think about doing that, having a meeting of friends at home about steps and traditions, and then I thought, hang on a minute, why am I doing this? And then somebody else said, you'll benefit from this in a way that has got nothing to do with fellowship. So I stopped the idea. And I guess I did it for a lot of reasons. My home is my sanctuary, and I need to go to AA as well as be a part of AA, I guess. To those who wish to secede from AA altogether, we extend a cheerful invitation to just do that, or to do just that. If they can do better by other means, we are glad. And when it's the they, I like to really understand that it could be, if we can do better by doing something different, maybe we ought to listen to those who are getting their nourishment elsewhere. If, after trial, they cannot do better, we know they face a choice. They can go mad or die, or they can return to AA. Well, we can go mad or die in AA as well, so I'm very open to whatever work with it. But back then maybe there was only one choice, AA. But there are many choices around sobriety and how to live sober, as long as we understand we have a desire to stop drinking, it seems to me. The decision is wholly theirs. As a matter of fact, most of them do come back. Well, those who are still alive maybe come back. But a different swinging door. I mean, the doors of AA are always open, as long as we've paid our rent. And you know, there is no conceit in me about AA. AA saved my life, for sure, but I don't know that it always saves everybody's life, because people are at different stages in their alcoholism. Even the worst bottom, what they call it, low bottom drunks, were the ones who first actually got sober. And that's phenomenal. And it's also phenomenal if there is only one type of alcoholic, and that's somebody who's drinking and cannot stop. As to the rest of it, well, I don't know. We could try and make categories until the cows come home, but if a person can't stop drinking and returns and wonders why life is still going wrong, and can find no way out, whatever way out, if someone has a way out and it seems to work for you, I would utilise it. So that's my own opinion. True tolerance is whatever keeps you dry, sober, happy or sad, as life is, facing life experiences as they are. That's how it works for me. And it took me years to understand that it was okay to have my own understanding of God in my life, and that it didn't have to conform to any particular religion or pattern, other than there probably is a God, and it's not me. And from there on in, around truth, love and wisdom, truth of now, love unconditional any way you wish to look at it, and wisdom which comes from every source outside me, wisdom of life, wisdom of how to do things, then I'm in a better place. And then I can make my own mind up and have freedom of choice I mean, what else would we do it for? Freedom of choice and living as happy as can be, not in cloud cuckoo land. So I don't have to pretend to be joyful when I'm joyful. I just get gleeful from time to time. But I can suffer badly with depression, and medical people help me with that, and they also help me with type 1 diabetes. If I hadn't lived long enough, I would never have known or experienced type 1 diabetes, a malady which came about because of living longer, same as understanding clinical depression and the cycles of depression that go on. Sometimes mine are very long periods of okay, followed by another long period of not being okay, and any sort of shade of grey you can get in between, or black and white. So what helps me on a daily basis? Putting some effort in, making these videos, which help me on a daily basis focus on what is good for me, sobriety. And sometimes I think to myself, wouldn't it be nice to go back to the old ways? And especially when I'm writing or sharing with other people about calamities that they're facing right now. I recall, not with euphoric recall these days, but I recall the disasters of time spent under the influence where I could not see reality, which often prolonged periods of depression or sadness, or opened the floodgates to denial about my situation. It cannot be happening to me, but it is. And these days my cycle of denial is probably long enough to overcome disasters where I say to myself, I can't believe it, and then work through to acceptance. Because I don't drink, so I experience life on life's terms. And as religious people have said, what is spiritual? It's the ability to cope with reality. So spiritual and our belief in a higher power may be connected or not connected as we come to understand as individuals, and it remains a personal choice within fellowship. So whether you hear the God word or not, it doesn't matter. What counts is what goes on for you is working. Enough. Time to sign off for May 29. Yeah. I always end with the Serenity Prayer simply because it works for me in any moment of the day to ground me and get my understanding of feelings back if I am losing it or need a gentle reminder about what I can and cannot do today. So to God, or in good conscience, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, always in the moment for me and just for today. Don in London, hello, May 29th, 2009, Friday morning, time just after 8:30. And my video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour, or both. My substance, alcohol, my behaviour, trying to be perfect, never so, nowhere near. Yet that's what I thought I was there, that's what I thought I was here for, to do the perfect thing, whatever that might be. And I guess that was born out of fear, putting on a brave face and ego. Ego so brittle, behind it there was no confidence at all. So these days I'm just learning how to be a little bit more confident, have a bit of self-esteem, courage and faith to meet what is happening in the day. And what helps me most in all of this is being part of family, community, society, and a fellowship which helps me keep sober just one day at a time. So I'm very pleased to be in the moment of now. A lot of people with spiritual beliefs will understand that reality is the actual spiritual connection. That is the truth of now. And if your spirituality goes beyond that to an understanding of the power greater than us, where God is love, God is truth, God works through people, that's okay too. It's how our unique, authentic take is, an understanding of where we are today and what is working for us, And most of all, what works for us is openness, inclusion, and being part of life, and being involved, and not separated by some form of behaviour or attitude which isolates, closes us down, and makes us unwilling to be a part of. So, drink for me, alcohol, put me in a place of stupor most of the time, and into oblivion. So I didn't have to feel or think too hard about what was going on. I was just here, not to be frightened, do what you asked me to do, and make life work as best I could. And the best way of doing that was to put up a facade of being okay. So, as in any culture, when asked the question, how are you today, we often say, fine, thank you, which often means something quite different. It means, I don't want to tell you the truth of me right now, because if I told you the truth of me right now, you may look down on me, you may judge me, and these days it's far better not to judge anybody else, and try not to judge ourselves too harshly. So, to remain included, part of, open, honest and willing to make life work as best it can be, or to live life, and to live the experience of life, that is the gift of being in the moment of now. So my spiritual connection is reality, truth, open, honest, willing. And it's not that hard for me, because I've been learning about it over the last few years, without a drink inside me, and without I suppose, going back to old behaviour, where I was trying to people please, where I was trying to be whatever you thought I ought to be, and to work for you, so you would like me. And, you know, we're not too dissimilar in all these things. All humans have these attributes, but sometimes they get out of all proportion. So we get one way, if you like, my way or the highway. So I need fellowship and family, community, society to help me get a balance, or strike a balance in all of this. And often the balance comes not from within, but it comes from the wisdom learned from others who are in the same boat or trying to do the same sort of thing. Just make the best use of one day to find happiness if possible, and also recognise what sadness is and why we need both happy and sad to make some sort of understanding about how life is. If we get 50% happy and 50% sad, I guess we would be very lucky. But if it tips one way or the other into being very happy for a very long period and then very sad for a very long period, it's very, very, very difficult to relate to what is going on around us. So extremes don't necessarily suit us. Balance somewhere in the middle, in all matters, emotional, spiritual, physical, probably helps us best to make the best use of now. And the fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, is the most important part of what has happened over the last few years, because it's given me a sense of who I am on a daily basis. So I'm Don, I'm an alcoholic, and at the same time I'm in recovery one day at a time. So I minimise the risk of going back to addiction simply by sticking with fellowship, leaning on it when I need to, not leaning on individuals or putting other individuals on pedestals, and certainly not putting myself on a pedestal to be knocked off. The most important part of this is the equalising nature of the fellowship programme, which only has one aim, really, a desire to help people stop drinking. At the beginning of every meeting of AA I go to in London, UK, of which there are 600 to 700 on average every week, plenty of choice. This preamble is shared, which just explains what AA is all about. And I don't speak for it, full of unique, authentic people, and AA has no opinions, as it says here. AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking, and there it is, the desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And I went to a meeting last night, famous as the After 8 meeting at Eaton Square, which is at the back of Buckingham Palace. And we have the meeting in the crypt of the big old church. And After 8 refers to people who've got more than 8 years sobriety, continuous sobriety, and I'm nowhere near that yet. But the gift is, it's good to hear some wisdom from people who've been around a bit longer. And what I'm always encouraged by is the fact that no matter how long we are in sobriety, we all face the same challenges on a daily basis: to be open, honest, willing, to give some service, stay in recovery, and find unity in the fellowship. So we are unique, authentic people, and long may it be so, with one similarity. So the pressure for dogma and cult to emerge could be there and strong if people weren't individuals in their own right. And I use the literature of AA here, as Bill sees its co-founder, and for today. He was a wise old bird, because he didn't say that AA was the best place to go to get your recovery. He said it was just one place that could offer recovery as a way of finding the wisdom and the path. So, I'm nearly jumping one page here. Where am I? Just check the time and the date. Yeah, 29. Each man's wisdom, it says here, beyond a higher power, as each of us may vision him. AA must never, as a society, enter the field of dogma or theology. We can never become a religion in that sense, lest we kill our usefulness by getting bogged down in theological contention. The really amazing fact about AA is that all religions see in our program a resemblance to themselves. For example, Catholic theologians declare our 12 steps to be in exact accord with their Ignatian exercises for retreat. And though our book reeks of sin, sickness and death, the Christian Science Monitor has often praised it additionally. Now, looking through Quaker eyes, you too see us favourably. What happy circumstances are these? And the gift of that really is that it's not religious. You don't lose your religious connection to whatever religion you might be affiliated with. I don't know what I'm affiliated to most of the time, just trying to make one day work, which is why the fellowship works for me. It gives me an understanding of me in the moment of now. And in this one, Daily Reflections, True Tolerance. The only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking, and that's from the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. I first heard the short form of the third tradition in the preamble. When I came to AA, I could not accept myself, my alcoholism, or a higher power. If there had been any physical, mental, moral, or religious requirements for membership, I would have been dead today. Bill W. said in his tape on the traditions that the third tradition is a charter for individual freedom. The most impressive thing to me was the feeling of acceptance from members who were practicing the third tradition by tolerating and accepting me. I feel that acceptance is love, and love is God's will for us. So, you know, in all of this is about being unique and authentic, and I keep on emphasising that, because those who would wish the programme to be a failure because they don't like it, well, that's all right, don't like it, but if it's working for other people, don't knock it. Or knock it if you want to, but the gift is, the Serenity Prayer sums it all up. And to your good conscience, O God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change today, courage to change the things I can today, and the wisdom to know the difference. It is just for today. Good morning, Don in London here, and it's May 29th, 2008. In fact, it's hello from me and Teddy the Parrot, so you may hear him in the background from time to time. And he's a guest whilst the owners are away on holiday. So, what's up? I've just had a phone call from my mother. She's okay, and more concerned that I might sound a bit flat at the moment, and I guess I am to an extent. I guess when we're let out and we don't have other things going on, we are open to the world and what it may offer us, and what we may offer the world. And life has been very interesting, and a new relationship has been developing, which is all to the good, and then seems like it's sort of petering out very quickly. And I think I know the reasons why. Sometimes, what is it? We have star-crossed love, and whilst we may love a person, we can't necessarily be with them. And some of my hang-ups about relationships actually are about where I am now in my life, and what I may do. So, in an honest, open way, really, I've raised the concerns I have about being in a relationship and what it means. And for me, I guess I fear not being here long enough to be in a relationship. And I know that's stepping outside the day at a time, or being concerned about the future. But the Boy Scout in me says that, you know, we need to be prepared for whatever may happen. And one of the problems with me is I have enough going wrong with me that I might not be right for a relationship of an emotional and very intimate nature. And how do I feel about that? Well, I think my concerns and worries are really about anybody who gets involved with me. And I mean that really sincerely, because I don't know what the future holds for me. But it has been a bit bleak from time to time, and as things stand, I'm not too certain that I feel right about starting something which cannot really go on too long, not without more understanding of where I am and what might happen. So I need to get myself checked out, and one of those things I must do is go get a medication review and understand the potential possibilities and the future and what it might hold, because my diseases don't go away. So type 1 diabetes is not going to change or become cured, well, not in my lifetime, I suspect. And being in recovery and keeping life going one day at a time in the emotional, spiritual and physical departments is quite a task in itself on a daily basis. And I had a look on the internet this morning. I get emails from the Brahma Kumaris who run the thoughtfortoday.org.uk, and it says here about maturity. As we mature spiritually, there is less need to have our self-respect bolstered by praise and special attention. As our thought processes become more compassionate and less self-obsessed, we feel increasingly satisfied with ourselves and our lives. We relate to people more easily and feel no need to draw attention to our successes or complain about our problems. And that's what it says. And, you know, in many respects, I've been ambling along quite gently and happily. And, yeah, happily, just being able to deal with the day as it is. But when we have to take somebody else into consideration, no matter how much they may like us or feel they may want to be in a relationship, I look back to last year and how tough it was when my sister's partner died and the devastation that caused. And I wonder if I want to cause that devastation to another human being. And in some ways I am responsible for me and my actions and my feelings and my thoughts and my relationships. At the same time, I have no power over how others feel about me. Powerless we are over people, places and things. That's what the AA fellowship has shown me. And that if we love somebody, we do. And if we don't love somebody, that is so too. So I feel in some respects that life has thrown me a bit of a hard one here. On the one hand, I am drawn into wanting to be in a relationship. On the other hand, I'm not so sure that it's a good idea. Certainly not at the moment, maybe. Although the other part of me says yes, desperately, that would be very nice. And I'm looking at my neediness. Do I need this? Or do I want it or yearn it? And, you know, where's the balance in all of this? And within the steps of the program, when we do our step 4, we do a fearless moral inventory to see whether we're trying to be fixed by outside things or external forces. And at the moment, you know, nature and providence as it is, I seem to have got the balance back in all departments, just on a daily basis, and they can go wrong on a daily basis too. So when I did my step 4, and step 5 is to express it and share it with another person, there were certain resentments which came out of it, which I suppose are classified as the defects or the reactions to life and what is going on. And then there are the assets, those things which are of me, which maybe I don't do enough of. That's having courage, faith and confidence to move along gently, one day at a time. And it's a very hard balance, really, because we're all human. We all like human contact. We like to be in a relationship. At least I do. And at the moment, I'm wondering deeply just how much, what will be the impact on a daily basis. And in many ways it'd be great and in other ways it gives me great concern, because I don't know just how long I'm going to be around. So am I deluding myself, or am I in denial? I wonder. If I were in denial, I don't know that I'd be asking these questions of myself. So, and also including rather than excluding another from my decision-making process, because in many ways this is about a joint understanding and not just me trying to work it out on my own. And the gift, actually, which the fellowship has taught me over and over again over the last few years, is we need to talk about it, express it, be involved, a part of, so that whatever happens, we make the right decision based on the right information. And you know, that thought for the day, it's pretty good, because it's saying, am I self-obsessed? No. Am I trying to do something which is beyond me on a daily basis? No. Do I want to cause harm to another person? Absolutely not. And at the same time, how much am I harming me in maybe denying myself the relationship? So all of those questions are there in my mind. And I also feel, you know, that what is my marketability? And that this is the devastating news for me. It never occurred to me to actually wonder whether I was good enough or not. But there have been questions, really, about how others may judge me in this situation. And to be honest, I don't give a toss what other people think. But that's not necessarily true when there are two people involved, and how it shows up for other people. So I have conundrums at the moment. Conundrums caused by being out there in the world, and it's better I have these conundrums and I take due consideration, not only for myself but for anyone involved. So a lot's happened in 3 weeks, really, since the computer went down and I needed to get a replacement. I have had the benefit of support from others, which is sincerely felt inside as gratitude. And I've also been out there cultivating friendship and finding it was and is and has been worthwhile. And I do fear the future, because I may not be here. And I don't know what to make of that. I mean, how much pain do we want to give another person? How much do we value them and care for them? I suppose those are the big questions for me. And sometimes it feels like it's better to be on my own rather than in a partnership. This is hard, and I don't know the answer right now. DonInLondon, May 29th, 2008, and it's around about 9:03 in the evening. I'm doing my daily recording featuring things to do with Alcoholics Anonymous. So that's what it's all about. I'm going to start with the preamble, and if you hear some rattling in the background, that's Teddy the parrot. AA. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And as I always mention, I don't speak for AA. AA has no leaders. It's not an organisation, it's a fellowship, and what you encounter on a daily basis is as good as it gets. And on some days it's wonderful and marvellous, because we hear intuitive insights into wisdom which makes life work. And on other days we hear no intuitive wisdom whatsoever, which is also wisdom learned, because we don't want to be like that. So the gift, if you like, of being in fellowship is simply people turn up and are themselves, hopefully, as best they can. They don't try to portray themselves in a way which is dishonest, closed down, or lacks integrity. It's more about openness, honesty and willingness to make the day work as best we can. And for me, the spiritual connection to living is living in the moment of now, as openly, honestly, and with willingness as we can muster. That is, overcoming our fears, not putting on a brave face, and not returning to ego when we feel hurt by the world. So, and that's the preamble, if you like, from me. And I'm just sort of catching up now. It's been a few weeks since I did these on a regular basis, and I feel a bit rusty. So I'll go as I see I can. And each day I normally check in and share the daily reflections as Bill sees it. These are daily readings, and the little black book published by Hazelden, 24 hours a day. The first two are AA publications, those two. And this one is written by an AA person, but not actually authorised by AA. And my house guest is rattling his cage. It probably means he's okay, but wants some attention. And he's got his bell in his mouth. So, daily reflections for May 30th, that's tomorrow. And it goes like this. Our primary purpose. The more AA sticks to its primary purpose, the greater will be its helpful influence everywhere. And that comes from AA Comes of Age, page 109. And it goes on to say, it is with gratitude that I reflect on the early days of our fellowship and those wise and loving four-steppers who proclaimed that we would not be diverted from our primary purpose, that of carrying the message to the alcoholic who still suffers. I desire to impart respect to those who labour in the field of alcoholism, being ever mindful that AA endorses no causes other than its own. I must remember that AA has no monopoly on miracle making, and I remain humbly grateful to a loving God who made AA possible. And I guess that's really from, as Bill or Bob saw it, the sort of co-founders of AA. And do you know, I have God consciousness, but what I believe God to be is the accessing of good conscience, finding the truth. And for me, as Gandhi said, God is truth and God is love. So I need not argue with that, but our understanding of God will always be slightly different from another's. There are 6.5 billion people on this planet, all with an understanding of God or no God, or good conscience or no conscience. So it's not for me to proselytise. That's the word used in one of the AA books. It's not for me to suggest to you what is your God. It's for me to suggest that if you have one, you make good use of that connection. And for me, it's the connection to good conscience, truth and love. So I don't feel undermined or less than others who have maybe a God consciousness I have not yet developed or understand. Now my day's been quite good, really. I've resolved an issue to do with some of my physical ailments or shortcomings in some departments of my life, which have become evident in a relationship. And with the other stuff which goes on with me, it makes me smile, because, you know, sometimes we need a little help, and that can be in the emotional, spiritual and physical spheres of living. So I feel quite confident about some aspects or elements of living which I was a bit unsure of, and I'm assured by the doctor who I saw that it's an understanding of the psychological misunderstandings with myself, which sometimes make some things not work so well. So I'm pleased about that. And I spoke to my sponsor as well. Being in AA, we do have the facility to have a sponsor and share with them what's worrying us and what's concerning us. And I guess I have a lot of concerns at the moment, that I may have gone too far too quickly into a relationship, and then found that the speed at which we want or wish things to be is not actually achievable. What we have to do is live to where we get to, and that's true of everything. And afterwards I went down to see my mum, who's recovering from what is called a carpal tunnel operation, which is to enable one of her hands to work better, and once that's completed, she's up for another one. So my dear old mum is fine and getting along as best she can, with quite a few things to contend with. seems like the longer we live, the more we have to contend with as different parts of our physicality or our emotional base sort of drain away or replenish in ways which are helpful. And I know my sister's all right too. And on Sunday, June 1st, it's her partner's birthday, his birth date, but also, I'm afraid he died last year. So it's been a year of consternation, and there are some important dates coming up in the next 6 weeks around his illness and what happened. So life is going to be about being supportive and mutually supportive within the family. As Bill sees it, for these I do linearly. So it says here, page 156, perception of humility. An improved perception of humility starts a revolutionary change in our outlook. Our eyes begin to open to the immense values which have come straight out of painful ego functioning. Until now, our lives have been largely devoted to running from pain and problems. Escape via the bottle was always our solution. Then in AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, we looked and listened. Everywhere we saw failure and misery transformed by humility into priceless assets. To those who have made progress in AA, humility amounts to a clear recognition of what and who we really are, followed by a sincere attempt to become what we could be. And really, that for me relates to step 4 in the way that we look after ourselves. We do a fearless moral inventory of our assets and liabilities. And as we gradually come to understand where the liabilities are, often in fear, putting on this brave face in our ego, and having all that punctured and out and exposed, not only to ourselves but to another human being, and then learning how to gain a bit of courage, faith and confidence to keep on learning one day at a time. So this idea is, it's not to overcome or push down fear, it's to recognise that we have had it, and it's only there because we perceive it to be there very often. Notwithstanding, if you stand in front of a bus which is travelling fast, you better jump out of the way or it will run you down. And the same can be true of things that are around in many different aspects of life. Coming on to 24 hours a day, and for May 30th, I am a part of AA, one among many, but I am one. I need the AA principles for the development of the buried life within me. AA may be human in its organisation, but it's divine in its purpose. The purpose is to point me toward God, or good conscience, and a better life. Participating in the privilege of the movement, I shall share in the responsibilities, taking it upon myself to carry my fair share of the load, not grudgingly, but joyfully. To the extent that I fail in my responsibility, AA fails. To the extent that I succeed, AA succeeds. Do I accept this as my AA credo? And for me, the answer is most emphatically yes.